Hey, what's up guys? I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but I'm back. What can I say? Work has been hectic. Haven't had much time to do anything on YouTube or anything, but yeah, now I got some time, and I have been keeping up with all the gaming news that have been happening in the last few weeks, and there's one thing that keeps standing out to me, and that's my interest with the Scorpio. Now in the background I just have some random gameplay for you guys to enjoy while I talk about this, but the question I keep asking myself about the Scorpio is this going to be a good investment? And also, how long is this Scorpio generation going to actually last? Now I know Microsoft doesn't like to call their new system generational. They want to say that they're beyond that, but let's call it what it is. It's definitely a new generation. They keep saying it's a refresh or whatever, but no, this system is way more capable than the Xbox One. Now, Digital Foundry did release a video a while back about their trip to Microsoft, and they were talking about the specs of the Scorpio and how amazing basically it's going to be, and these guys aren't really easily impressed, and I could tell by the video that they were definitely impressed. And by their impressions of the Scorpio, it's going to be a beast. It does native 4K. They talked about it having a beefed up Jaguar chip running at like 2.4 gigahertz 8-core processor. I believe they also stated that the console itself was going to be running a GPU similar to a Radeon RX 480, but it was more beefed up. So I'm pretty sure it's like a custom 480 chip. And unfortunately there's no solid state drive, so it's still just a normal, mechanical hard drive. But they did say that it does run native 4K with a game that they actually saw in action over there, which I believe was the new Forza. Now I'm kind of upset about the fact that Microsoft didn't take advantage of a new CPU. I mean, that Jaguar chip is feeling its age. Yeah, it's a little bit beefed up, probably just a little overclocked, but they should have just worked with AMD and tried to get their hands on a custom Ryzen chip. If they would have done that, the power of the Scorpio would have been so much more higher than what it is now. So that's definitely, an area where they fucked up, basically. They should have worked with AMD, gotten themselves a custom Ryzen chip, and it would have been so much better for the Scorpio. But that aside, I mean, the Scorpio's still basically a console that's to be reckoned with. When you compare it to like a PC, it's basically a mid-tier system, but as a console, and the developers will take every opportunity to use every single core that they can get their hands on. So they'll optimize for the games on console, so it should be pretty decent either way with the current Jaguar. Now, there have been some developers that were interviewed. I saw this on a Kotaku article that I came across, talking about how, with the current specs of the Scorpio, there's not really any technical limitations that they can see for the games that they're trying to develop for it. So that's definitely good news, because with no technical limitations currently that they see, that means they can get quite a bit of power out of the Scorpio for quite a few years to come, since they can't really fully utilize it. I believe they only utilized like 60% of the Scorpio's power when Digital Foundry went over to Microsoft Studios and they showed them off the Forza demo running off of it. I believe they did say that it was like 60% power, so they still got quite a bit of power to tap. So that's definitely good news. It's definitely good that they can do native 4K, and that's also another good point that I need to bring up is native 4K support is really excellent because of the fact that 4K will be basically the new industry standard and the new home standard. I predict sometime in the next 4 years, you can honestly say that 4K TVs are the new standard. If you go to a Best Buy, Sam's, Walmart, what have you, your local electronics store, you can, count how many 4K TVs per 1080p panel there are, and I can guarantee you that it's going to be 4 to 1. 1080p panels are going to be going out the door. They're not going to be making them anytime soon after probably the next couple of years, because 4K is just taking over. 4K is just getting cheaper and cheaper. It's more affordable. And people are just going to gravitate to it because when somebody sees 4K, they're going to be like, oh, that's so much better than 1080p, and it's only like, I don't know, like $100 to $200 more than this crappy 1080p panel that the store is trying to get rid of because no, it's not selling. They're just going to buy up more and more 4K TVs, and as the year progresses, 4K technology is going to get better and more inexpensive. So 4K, I can predict that within the next 4 years it will be the new standard. And because Microsoft has made this Scorpio to be able to output native 4K gaming, you can get a lot of mileage out of this system. Now, Microsoft also keeps talking about how they don't want Xbox One players to be left behind, and that whatever game is being developed for the Scorpio will also be playable on the Xbox One. But eventually, there's going to come a time where a developer is going to be like, oh, it's only going to work on the Scorpio because it's, a much too demanding game for the Xbox One. And money's going to talk at that point, and Xbox is going to be like, okay, well, do what you got to do. I mean, that's the reason why Xbox has backpedaled a little bit, because in the past, they did say that, no gamer will be left behind, and that all their games will be backwards compatible with the Xbox One. And now they're changing their tune to say that it's going to be essentially up to the developer as to what to do with the power of their Xbox. And this all came about because of Destiny 2 and how they were talking about how it's only 30 frames per second on the PS4 Pro, I believe, and also the PS4. And I believe Xbox One, of course, is only going to be 30 frames per second. And they were asking, is the Scorpio, which is much more powerful than all of these systems, going to be at 30 frames per second as well, or 60? And Microsoft deferred, of course. They just said, no, it's going to be up to the developer. We're not going to put any frame rate caps whatsoever on any, developer or any Scorpio game that they choose to develop. So they backpedaled there. They don't want to be the bearers of bad news. But I get the feeling that it is going to be at 30 frames per second, because obviously if you have Scorpio gamers running at 60 frames per second versus Xbox One players at 30 frames per second, obviously they have, the upper hand when it comes to multiplayer. So it's very possible that the Scorpio will be locked down to only 30 frames per second to match the other systems, which is pretty unfair, I believe. I mean, it sucks, but what can you do? I just thank God that I have a beastly gaming PC now, so I'm not too worried about it. If I do choose to get Destiny 2, it's going to be on my PC, because the PC that I put together, the custom PC that I have, it can run circles around the Xbox One Scorpio, so I'm not too worried about that. But going back to the first two questions, is the Scorpio a good investment, and how long is the Scorpio generation going to be? I do believe that going forward, the Scorpio is going to be a really good investment for gamers, especially if they want to play games on the highest graphical setting and the best performance. It's going to be on the Scorpio. Of course, until the PS5 comes out. But that's just a rumor right now. But of course, I don't think Sony's going to let this go unanswered. So I do also think that sometime in the next couple of years, they will release their next generation console of PS5. But for right now, when Scorpio comes out, depending on the price, of course, and I do believe the rumor is that it's going to be $399. Actually, no, not $399, $499. shit, if they released it for $3.99, that'd be a steal. That'd be a killer for PlayStation right there. But no, with the hardware that's in this thing, it's more than likely going to be at the $4.99 price tag. And it's still not bad for the hardware and what it can do. But yeah, I see that this could be a really good investment for gamers, especially if you have a big Xbox 360 and Xbox One library, because of course everything is backwards compatible to the Scorpio, so it'll be able to play all that. So yeah, if you have a existing Microsoft account, then yeah, it's definitely going to be a good investment. And to any new gamer, it's going to be a good investment because, like I said, this thing's going to be native 4K. 4K TVs are going to be the new industry standard, so it's going to be definitely lasting quite a while. It could actually potentially last almost like the 360, basically. Because when you think about it, there's not much that they can upgrade on the Scorpio other than, of course, the processor. And according to everything that we hear, there's no current technical limitations for games to be developed. So yeah, it's very possible that the Scorpio generation can last somewhere between 5 to 8 years. So yeah, it looks like this thing may actually be a good investment. I don't think I'm going to buy a Scorpio right off the bat because, like I said, I got a gaming PC and I'm going to be gaming off of that for quite a while. But eventually there's going to be a Scorpio only title or something that I'm going to want to play on console, you know, in front of my big HD TV instead of my computer monitor. So more than likely the first couple of years I'm not going to buy a Scorpio, but it's very possible that I may buy one, you know, like 2 to 3 years later after the launch of the Scorpio. But I do know of plenty of other people that are excited about the Scorpio and that they're going to be the early adopters of it. So yeah, it's definitely looking good for the Scorpio. Oh, and I also forgot that the Scorpio does come with a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player. So yeah, it's going to be a really good hardware setup. So it's basically the complete package. You can game, you can watch Ultra HD 4K Blu-rays. It's also going to have HDR, if I remember right, and of course the ability to stream all 4K content from like Netflix and what have you. So yeah, this thing looks to be like a killer, especially if you don't have a beastly gaming PC or aren't into that gaming PC scene. And if you're just a console player, then yeah, it looks like the Scorpio is going to be a good deal. Yeah, but again, that's until Sony decides to release their PS5, which I definitely see them doing that pretty soon. Because they can't just let this go and let Microsoft take over. Kind of like what happened in the old 360 versus PS3 days. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds for both Microsoft and Sony. But I predict that Microsoft is going to do really good in the next year financially, and with sales of the Scorpio. And yeah, we'll see if they even keep the name the Scorpio. I mean, that would be amazing. Scorpio sounds pretty badass. But I seriously doubt that they're gonna keep the actual code name. They always change it, but we'll see. Alright guys, well that's all I had to talk about. Hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you on the next video. Later.